Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. We're going to talk about anaplasmosis in beef cows. I've got a very special guest, a friend of mine, a student of mine, going to be one of the best veterinarians in cows, period, Mark Spare. From Ashland, Kansas, we're going to talk about anaplasmosis and some of the work he's done in that topic.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Mark Spare, soon to be Dr. Mark Spare. Dr. Spare is a fourth-year veterinary student here at Kansas State University, and he's working on his PhD. He has more experience with beef cattle than a lot of veterinarians that have been out there 5 to 10 years or 20, and we're very lucky to have him here at Kansas State University. Mark, you've been working on anaplasmosis, and I consider you one of our experts in that area here in the U.S. and globally, especially in beef cattle. Just let's talk about the background of anaplasmosis and what people should understand about that disease.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start, Dr. Thomson. And really, when we think about anaplasmosis, there's a lot of maybe misinformation out there, but there's a lot of enigma surrounding it because it can appear and then disappear and be quiet for quite a while. But what we've got is a facultative gram-negative or a gram-negative facultative anaerobe. It's a bacteria that can infect the red blood cells of beef cattle or of cattle. So that specifically is going to be a bug called Anaplasma marginale. Okay. There are other anaplasma species out there that could affect horses. They can affect sheep. They can affect dogs. They can affect humans. There are others overseas that are different. But when we think about anaplasmosis in the United States, we need to be thinking about Anaplasma marginale. So
it's a bacteria that goes from one animal to the other. How do we get it? How does it transfer?
It's going to infect the red blood cells of the host animal. To transfer anaplasma from animal to animal or to get it into naive animals, we need blood transfer. When we think about blood transfer, we've got a couple of different mechanisms, and those are going to be specifically mechanisms, insect mechanisms. Those would be biting flies, such as horse flies and stable flies. House flies aren't going to do it because they don't bite and take blood from animal to animal. Ticks are going to do it. Now, ticks are specific or special in that they can actually take in anaplasma from a host animal, multiply it in their midgut and in their salivary glands, and so they can multiply or take a small amount and make it a bigger amount in the environment.
Yep.
Okay, then we got to think about what we can do, and we can transfer it with our needles, needle pokes. There's been some really good research done by some of our colleagues here at Kansas State that show the efficiency of that. We got to think about our tattoo guns. So there's some tools that we can do it. Do we think about OB sleeves today? No, not in the same realm that we think about it as relating to BLV. But anytime that we can see transmission of blood products from animal to animal, yeah.
Quickly, just go through what does a cow with anaplasmosis look like as we wrap up for.
Yeah, so similar to other diseases, not every animal reads the book, okay? All naive animals can be affected and infected and affected by this disease. Younger animals less than 2 years, and that's a generalized statement, but less than 2 years old are not going to tend to show severe clinical signs. You're probably not even going to see them go down with this disease or get off. Animals older than 2 years of age, we think about, can display signs. They can get yellowed skin under their eyes, or if they're female bovines and around their other genitalia, we can think about aggression from the hypoxia as the red blood cells are destroyed going through the animal. We can think about lethargy. Maybe they're going off feed if you're in a dairy or in a confined cow system. They can go down, they can be rail thin and not display any of these other signs if they're out in the pasture. But lagging behind, aggression, those are the signs that we think about seeing.
Cool. We're going to go to commercial. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some creepy crawly ticks and anaplasmosis.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Mark Spare. We are talking about anaplasmosis. We're at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. Talk to me about, we talked about ticks being special in transmitting anaplasma. Why? How? What's special about ticks?
Yeah, so as we talked about on the last little piece, ticks can take a small amount and make it a large amount. We like to use the term biological magnification, which we have to explain, so it's better to just say small to large. But ticks can take in the bacteria, and it, as a part of their immune system, it can go into their midgut or their intestines, and it multiplies. And it interacts with their immunity, but to, again, take a small amount of the bacteria and make a tick that can infect an animal with every bite, okay, with every blood transfer. That's what makes him special. So a few ticks in the environment can then take and seed or create a home for anaplasma to exist for a long period of time, through the duration of their lifetime.
Gotcha.
Now, I think in considering ticks, we got to say, and we really need to hammer that not every tick can become infected, not every tick can transmit, and not every tick that can do both of those things, become infected and transmit, is infected. Okay, so there's some work done in the southeast part of Kansas that a lot of anaplasmosis down there historically. The ticks that are down there that can carry, we're thinking of the American dog tick, dermacenter ticks, maybe 1 out of 3
Carry or can carry?
Or are carrying.
Okay.
Down there, which is a lot. But those are not the predominant tick in the environment. The predominant tick is one that that we and a lot of our viewers would recognize as the Lone Star tick, Amblyomma americanum, that has that small dot on their back. That's the female. There's another male, the male gender of that tick as well. That's an adult. Those are not our known vectors in Kansas and really throughout, in my understanding, the United States. So not every tick is going to carry it. Not every tick that can carry it is infected, which means that there becomes an issue of environment in this tick idea, where those ticks predominate. Sometimes the disease is not present because it hasn't been introduced, and those ticks haven't been allowed to become biological magnifiers. Where those ticks are not the predominant tick, but that the disease is heavy or infested in that region, a lot more of the ticks can become infected and then play host to that disease for a longer period of time.
It makes perfect sense. So if the disease is present and the tick's present, you're going to have an issue.
It can be there for a long time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, can we agree that all ticks are bad?
Well,
to me, there's no doubt. But
ticks are a challenge, and they do carry a lot of other diseases. I think at this point in advocacy for maybe the right medical decisions and support of the medical profession there, don't be pouring stuff on ticks that are attached to you. Remove those just as you would from your animal. Pull those ticks off with the mouth parts if you can. But just like in cattle, when we traumatize those ticks, they tend to just spew all the diseases that they have in their salivary glands into those. So you can get pretty bad shape on cattle, on yourself, but protect yourself and listen to your doctor.
Cool. More on anaplasmosis with Mark Spare after these messages.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecrop.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dan Thomson here with Mark Spare, and we are talking about anaplasmosis in beef cows, which has been a growing issue throughout the United States. Lots of discussion because it affects cow herds and your livelihood. And Mark has been doing some of the leading edge research on anaplasmosis, especially here in the state of Kansas. And I would just like him to kind of share with us what he's done and kind of the scope of the project and some of their findings.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dr. Thompson, and I have been very blessed to be a part of some of this cutting edge research. I think we've got a great team here. We've got a great crew at Kansas State, a lot of colleagues that are interested in this disease. We've got a lot of momentum for our study of this from a molecular standpoint all the way up to an individual standpoint of the cow and how do we treat individual cows. One of the aspects that my research is specifically focused on is helping producers answer, do I need to address, do I have a problem? Is it big enough that I need to address this problem? And when we look at the state as a whole, the state of Kansas, we really didn't know how to answer the question of where is anaplas and how much is where. Those questions have been asked, and it's really a challenge to answer that, but throughout the past 50 years even, and there's a band of anaplasmosis that tracks through the central U.S. all the way up. Historically, it's been in Idaho, Montana, and Northern California. So we've all had our challenges with it, but specifically our study, we wanted to ask where is it and how much. So we took the state of Kansas and divided it into 9 districts. We randomly selected veterinarians in each district and had them correspond with producers that they interact with on a yearly basis to obtain blood samples from cow herds throughout the state. So we were looking at this problem from a cow herd level. Each veterinarian at each of those herds that was sampled took 10 blood samples. Those came back to Kansas State, and we assayed those with 2 different diagnostic tests, or one specifically and then one as a confirmatory. And we ended up sampling 9,250 cows in the state of Kansas. So that's a lot. It's a lot. It's a representative sample. It's not a complete sample, but we were very pleased with the response we got. That was a state effort. Personally, it's challenging for me to present the data without, frankly, becoming emotional about the participation we had from our student body in making that happen. It was truly a Kansas effort. So what we found when we sampled that, again, we went from northwest to southeast, 1 through 9. In the southeast part of the state, we did end up with 87.2% of sampled herds were infected by antibody presence. Okay,
Yep.
so that would tell us that could be a little bit biased one way or the other as far as the use of the vaccine down there, but we did address that in our study as well. But 87.2% of herds in the southeast part of the state compared to 18% of herds in the northwest part of the state being infected. Okay, in the southwest part of the state, where we looked at and we had a really good participation, we ended up with 33% of those herds were infected. In the northeast part of the state, where we're at, Dr. Thomson, we ended up with about 80.9% of herds infected. In the central part of the state, I think, really we went 43%, 56%, and 43% from north to south. So a significant amount of herds have a presence of anaplasm in their cows.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to follow up with some of the other findings from this study, moving east to west, big differences in prevalence of anaplasmosis. More after this break.
Clyde Sutton, Nest City, Kansas. Lived on this place all my life. About a year and a half ago, got to where I couldn't saddle a horse. The pain was terrible. Read about stem cell. First it wasn't for me, then they started doing neck and back. Went and had it done. As you can see, I saddled a horse. I'm still building fence. Love to shoot a shotgun rifle, and I'm able to participate, not like I used to, but nevertheless I can do the things I used to do, and life is good.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
It's the indication. Bovine respiratory disease. Could it be for foot rot? There's a list of species, indications. After that, what's the dosage, what's the route of administration, and then what's the withdrawal time, or the time in which it's safe to take an animal to slaughter from the time in which the animal was last treated until that animal is slaughtered. So, species, indication, dosage, route of administration, withdrawal. All of these are important components on the label, so make sure that you follow them and use antibiotics judiciously. Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First.
It must be an inherited trait, because I have never wanted to do anything other than be in the cattle business. And it's interesting, as I have grandchildren now, little bitty ones. All they want to do is go to the barn, swing a rope, and be a cowboy. It's something. It's a lifestyle that we have, the way we make a living, obviously. But it's really more than that. It gives us the opportunity as a family to be able to work together and enjoy each other's company and make a living at the same time. We've been using Triangle for years, and the reason we do it has been safe and effective, and we're going to continue to do that. We'll put the cows in the chute twice a year, spring and fall. 100% of our cattle get vaccinated with Triangle.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, and tools you'll need for around the house and farm. And a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook or Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dan Thomson here with Mark Spare. We're talking about anaplasmosis and your research. So Mark, you showed how there was difference from one end of the state to the other, and obviously that's where the disease is and where the ticks are, and it's spreading north and west. Tell me, what are some of the other things you found when the things that herds did or herds didn't do that had an influence on positive or negative status?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and that's something we did. We sent a survey out with all these veterinarians to administer, if you will, at the herd level, at the ranch level. And we got a pretty good response. Out of the 925 herds that participated, I think we had 780 surveys completed. So really, really positive. We investigated management strategies or management practices really from top to bottom. So not only what do you vaccinate for, but how many vaccines do you use, to provision of mineral, inclusion of CTC in that mineral, to knowledge of anaplasm and how you interact and manage around that. The management practices that we found to be associated with positive status or anaplasm status, and I qualify that term associated. We're not implying that there's a causational relationship here, but the herds that utilize prescribed pasture burning were more likely to be infected. The herds that utilize insecticide impregnated ear tags were more likely to be infected. And the herds that vaccinate for anaplasmosis were more likely to be infected. Okay, now, in some regards that's a little counterintuitive. In some regards it's pretty intuitive because we see a lot of those practices take place more on the eastern side of the state.
Exactly.
Vaccination could be that we have a problem, so we vaccinate for it, and therefore we've already got the problem present. The vaccine that we have in the United States currently and is legal for use in Kansas does not prevent infection, but rather it reduces the severity of clinical signs. So we could have a problem, have maybe a couple cows get infected, we begin to vaccinate for it, and that infection continues to spread throughout the cow herd, but we don't see the severity of clinical signs.
So it makes a little sense that the places that burn, places that have the ear tags, and places that are vaccinating are the places where it's the most prevalent.
That's exactly right. And it becomes, you can picture from east to west in the state the diversity of the landscapes.
Yeah.
And there's
and the grasses
significant differences in environment and the home place for ticks, the species of ticks, and even the fly populations that are present in those. So those were a couple good management practices to help us build an idea of what an infected herd looks like.
All right, we got 30 seconds for you to just describe what we need to do diagnostically.
Yeah, I think you need to talk with your veterinarian and say, maybe we've had some inexplicable deaths, maybe we've had some stillborn, maybe we've had some cows getting skinny and looking bad coming back in the summer. Do we have a problem? And I think you need to sit down with your veterinarian or call Kansas State, say, do we have a problem? Can we address it? From there, we can screen the herd with an ELISA blood test. Mm-hmm. We can test individuals with PCR. The challenge on a dead cow that we find anaplasm in her spleen is we can't tell you how much there was and if that was her cause of death.
Gotcha.
And there are other causes that can take cows from us in the middle of the summer, such as BLV, heat stroke, other diseases. So support your vet, get with your vet. Do we have a problem and how do we address that?
Right. Animal could die, could be a carrier of anaplasmosis, doesn't mean that's what it was. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian. If you want to know more about what we do, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Dr. Dan Thomson here with soon-to-be Dr. Mark Spare. We're at Kansas State. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.